All new right now on the WHAS11 night team. We now know the names of the two men killed in the downtown Louisville weekend shooting. Close friends remember one father who was shot and killed.
Not only is this tragic, but this is profoundly, it's heavy for his daughter.
Plus, as the mayor calls for changes to the closing times of Louisville bars, we're hearing from the Louisville ABC about the problems they faced with the Southern Restaurant and Lounge. And then news since 6. The state wants to build a brand new exit for I-64 as traffic slows down through eastern Jefferson County. Residents show up to a meeting.
Seems as though they're genuinely listening.
Also ahead.
It's better to be prepared versus not prepared and have regrets.
Getting ready for the tropical storm, expected to be a Category 3 hurricane over the Big Bend of Florida by Wednesday. Right now on the WHAS 11 night team. Right now, new tonight at 11 o'clock. The coroner releases the names of the two men killed in downtown Louisville outside the Southern Restaurant and Bar over the weekend. Hello, everybody. It's our top story on the night team. I'm Doug Proffitt. 35-year-old Colby Banks and 37-year-old Terrence Bethel were shot at the restaurant around 3 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. Now, 2 people were killed and 5 others were hurt in those overnight hours. The Southern Restaurant and Bar is on West Market Street, right at 3rd, right across the street from the Downtown International Convention Center. The 11 p.m. event was billed as a goodbye party for the restaurant, and police say 2 of the 300 people, police say 2 to 300 people, were there. New tonight, WHAS 11 night team's Taylor Woods and photojournalist Emma Gefter talked to one close friend of Terrence Bethel. Taylor, you talked to one man tonight who knew him very well.
Yes, Doug. I spoke to Anthony Johnson, who is the friend of Terrence Bethel. He tells me this is a difficult time for him and Bethel's family. And Johnson says he would have never imagined losing his friend this soon.
Terrence was a brother. Terrence was a best friend. Terrence was a therapist. Terrence was a musician. Terrence was all these things to me.
37-year-old Terrence Bethel, a victim of the shooting in downtown Louisville, is the father to a young daughter, a good-hearted person that would give you the clothes off his back if he could. He's also described as the life of the party.
I wasn't there, so but they went to the lounge, and what was supposed to be a good time turned into a tragic moment.
Bethel was shot outside Southern Restaurant and Lounge on West Market Street. Southern had posted on Instagram they were having their last rodeo. The party started at 11 p.m. Saturday night, celebrating their move to a new location. Louisville Metro Police say Bethel was one of the 2 victims that died. 4 other people were taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries.
To see him be taken away from us in such a tragic, but definitely unexpected way, it's hard to wrap your head around.
Anthony Johnson has had a friendship with Bethel for over 2 decades. Johnson says this is hard for Bethel's 10-year-old daughter.
Awesome dad. He's an awesome dad to his daughter, man. He loved her very much. And I think he had some plans. He wanted to do something with her coming up soon. That's why this is even more tragic.
Johnson says he wishes he just had more time to spend with him, just like everyone else.
The way he impacted the community, family, friends, it's going to be felt, and that loss is going to be profound. I love him. I'm going to miss him.
Until then, Johnson and Terrence Bethel's family are waiting patiently for answers from LMPD.
But we want to allow LMPD to do their job and to be able to come back and give us the best explanation as to why this happened, and then ultimately hope we catch the individual or individuals that did this.
So let's pick up on that right there, Taylor. What's the latest on the suspects? You know, police at that news conference on Sunday were urging people in that large crowd to give them some tips.
Well, Louisville Metro Police, they do not have any suspects in this restaurant shooting. They are asking anyone who knows any information about this shooting to contact 574 LMPD. And Doug, police say with an estimated 300 people at that party, someone has the information they need.
That's a giant crowd. All right, thank you, Taylor. Well, the Louisville Alcohol Beverage Control Board says the Southern Restaurant and Lounge had complaints against it dating back to the 10th of July. Within hours of the shooting, at the Southern restaurant. Mayor Craig Greenberg pushed the idea of rolling back the closing time for all metro bars. Right now, they close at 4 a.m., required by city ordinance. District 8 Councilmember Ben Reno Weber brought up the same proposal 2 years ago. Back then, it was met with strong pushback from bar owners. Metro ABC Director Brad Silviera said that even with an active license to sell alcohol late at night, they were keeping an eye on this restaurant.
You don't have a right to sell alcohol in Kentucky. It's a privilege, and that privilege can be taken away.
Silviera asked the state for an emergency termination of the alcohol license for the Southern Restaurant and Lounge. Mourning the loss of a high school track star in Bullitt County. She was killed in a crash over the weekend. 16-year-old Lucy Kruger died from her injuries on Saturday after a car crash in Shepherdsville Friday night. According to investigators, it happened on Deatsville Road. Today, her family shared these photographs of her. They say she was a junior at Bullitt Central High School and a talented cross-country and track runner. They say a few short words cannot capture how special she was to us. She was a light in this world that left us much too soon. A special program here in Kentucky helped solve a decades-old sexual assault case in Louisville. Kentucky State Police used funding from their Sexual Assault Kit Initiative, or SAKI as it's called, to charge George Wayne Aldridge. The SAKI program grants funding to departments to address the backlogs of untested sexual assault kits. Aldridge was indicted in Fayette County this year, and because the investigators worked together through the initiative, his DNA was linked to a 2005 case here in Louisville. Now he's indicted in Louisville, Lexington, and other jurisdictions. All new tonight on the night team. I-64 heading eastbound is so crowded right now. The state says there needs to be a new exit to also help the side roads like US 60, Shelbyville Road. Right now, drivers don't have access to I-64 between the Gene Snyder Freeway and Simpsonville, Kentucky. That's a 9-mile stretch with no exit or entrance. The state says the slowing traffic is so bad on I-64 and US 60, it's impacting emergency response times, so they want a new exit.
Poses a risk for emergency vehicles that are trying to get to where they need to go. So we're revisiting that from 2008 and conducting this planning study to receive feedback. Tonight, the Transportation Cabinet held this public meeting to see what people in areas like Eastwood and other East End communities think about it. People like Bruce Zoller have been waiting for this moment tonight.
If you're looking 20, 30 years out, you ought to do it right the first time, put it right in the middle, because it's going to be all developed at some point.
Zoller told us he really felt heard in this meeting tonight. In the next couple of months, analysts will actually create models of future traffic flows and expected growth in this area all the way to the year 2045. Zoller says he also wants them to widen Shelbyville Road in the spots where it's only 2 lanes. Right now, the EPA is back in Louisville, ready to clean out the home next door to the Applegate Lane house, which is filled with dangerous chemicals. Meantime, Highview residents are still waiting to hear if the EPA will allow the dangerous house to be burned to the ground. The security detail around the homes have been nonstop. Today, federal crews were working to clear out one of the 2 homes, the neighboring home. This week, EPA officials are expected to reveal their decision on whether they can dispose of the chemicals piece by piece.
There's lots of things that could go wrong when they blow it up. I mean, air pollution, and it's just kind of scary, you know, not knowing really what's going to happen when they do that.
People living along Applegate Lane told us they remain uneasy until they figure out what's next for the homes. COVID is back at it with its traditional summertime surge. 2 Kentucky school districts were forced to close today in-person classes. A 1-2 punch of flu and COVID causing the Lee County School District and the Magoffin County schools in eastern Kentucky to move online. The Kentucky River Health District in that area says they've seen an increase in COVID cases, but the true numbers may actually be much higher. Here at home, U of L Health says the new strain of COVID is about as severe as the flu and can be prevented with a COVID booster shot. Well, the Big Table is returning to Iroquois Park on September 10th. This popular event focuses on bringing us all together from different backgrounds throughout Metro Louisville to share one giant meal right in the middle of the picturesque park. The event hosts will provide the chairs, the plates, the utensils, and the napkins at Iroquois, but the food, that's all on you. Participants are encouraged to bring a dish that means something special to you, about you, the family, or their background.
At the big table, you can expect to meet someone you wouldn't normally meet. And even if you did, you probably wouldn't have a chance to sit down and stop and talk. It's a space to not only meet someone new, but to gain perspective about what it's like to walk in their shoes.
It is a great event. Organizers are preparing for up to 2,000 attendees this year, and you need to register. You can do so by going to thebigtable.us.
If I could speak to my grandfather today, I would say, I am sorry we still have to be here to rededicate ourselves to finishing your work.
On this summer day in 1963, you see the news film from the time. Martin Luther King Jr. helping lead the March on Washington. Now, 60 years later, his 15-year-old granddaughter takes the stage, calling on her generation to keep the fight for his dream alive. It is known as one of the most significant events of the 20th century. 200,000 people descended on Washington that day. Their demand across the board, the abolition of race discrimination. According to AP original reporting from that day, National Guard was on stand. They were on standby, but by only 3 arrests were made, none of them protesters. Also there, John Lewis, at the time the chairman of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. Lewis was told to tone down his speech that day, the Archbishop at the time calling it too fiery. Today, Cortland Cox, who helped organize the original March on Washington, said he believes the new generation can carry on the fight.
Black people used to be killed and by the police and vigilantes, and nobody cared. And right now, if a black man gets killed by the police, it's a much more serious discussion. So my sense is the young people of today took on that responsibility.
Cox says he believes this generation is moving in the right direction, but there is still much work to do.